Shout out to all my new subscribers and peace to the universal family. I'm back with another book review. The classic from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live. You know, I see this book in a lot of references in people's videos and people's quotes nowadays, but we're going to get into this book. We're going to do it some justice. How to Eat to Live by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let's kick it.
Official, big dog in the yard, voted most likely to murder every birthday I start.
Now, this is truly a classic, How to Eat to Live by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, we don't have to do a biography, and we don't have to go into the impact of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, but let's get into this book. And you know, since this is How to Eat to Live, let's keep it on the aspect of what he was talking about pertaining to the diet and the foods that we put into our system. You know, also, is some of this information outdated, you know, being in this year that we in? You know, it could be outdated, you know, but for the time, you know, I think this is a classic. I also want to say this. A lot of people who say they have read this book, I don't really think that they really went into this book. It looked like to me, when I see people quoting this book and talking about this book, that they pick and choose what they wanted, you know, out of this book. This book is very, very strict, you know, and very, very regimented and very structured. So if you was to follow the tenets on how to eat to live, you know, to yourself, as you know what was going on in this book, this was very, very strict. This was very military-like, kind of bodybuilder-like, you know, very, very strict. But let's go into this book and, you know, let me pull out some of the things that, you know, that I thought was very, very good and informational, and a couple of good topics that were in this book. You know, let's get into it. You know, I'm an 80s baby, born in the 80s. And, you know, this was one of the first books that my big brother, you know, he gave to me when I was in elementary school. Yep, way back in elementary school, my brother gave me this book. And, you know, back then, coming from the South and, you know, living in the South, you know, this was very, very radical to a lot of people to have some literature by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, salute and shout out to my big brother, OG Will, you know, for putting this in my hand and starting my journey in knowledge of self. But, you know, it's a reprinted from original cover, 1972. So this was some deep, deep game. And being that this was the first book that I had pertaining to some knowledge of self, I've read this book a whole lot of times. You know, I bought it and given it away to people, and, you know, lost a couple of copies, you know, due to moving and just things like that. So it was it was very, very entertaining and very, very informative to get back into this book and read it from, you know, the elevated mind and consciousness that, you know, I come from now. So let's get into it. How to Eat to Live by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So let's look at it when he talks about eating three times a day, right? You know, the myth that we need to eat 3 meals a day. The foolish idea of eating 3 or 4 meals a day and all in between meals is like the poisonous swine who never has any regular eating habit. Even a dog will not eat when he is full most of the time. The hog, however, swallows as long as he can and then regrets it that he can't keep swallowing. You know, once I read this book again, you know, I thought about it also. How many times did Elijah Muhammad say hog, pig, or swine in this book? You know, because he really, really goes in on the hog and the pig and the swine. I'm going to say it again when I said a lot of people who said that they read this book. A lot of so-called black people said they read this book. I don't think they really read this book like they say they did, you know. So he was talking about vegetables and beans and fruits, right? So he said virtually all vegetables are good to eat except collard greens and turnip salad. Collard greens. Most all black people I know, even the ones who kick knowledge, they love them some collard greens. You know, if I wouldn't be saying this right now and people wouldn't watch this video who know me, they wouldn't never know that he said don't eat the collard greens. Look, way back then, he said there are a lot of other good vegetables that have been grafted from the original vegetables. Though some of the grafted vegetables are not good to eat. Do not eat the vegetable called kale. Now, a lot of people that I know who follow the path of knowledge itself, a lot of them put kale in their smoothies. Even myself, I put kale in the smoothie before, so even, see that's what I'm saying. It says, eat some spinach, but do not become a habitual spinach eater. And check this one out. You may eat as much garlic and onion as you like, but no sweet potatoes. I'm guilty. One of my mama's favorite things, one of the favorite things that I love to eat from my mama is sweet potato pie and yams. Ah, man. But go do the knowledge to it. He says sweet potatoes were never good for any human to eat. They are good for hogs, but not for you. There go that hog again. But look, check this out. He talk about peas. Allah forbids us to eat peas. He considers most peas fit for cattle and herds of animals, but not for the delicate stomachs of human beings. Peas, collard greens, turnip greens, sweet potatoes, and white potatoes are very cheaply raised. The southern slave master used them to feed the slave and still advised the consumption of them. Most white people of the middle and upper class do not eat this cheap food, which is unfit for human consumption. Now, where did the most honorable Elijah Muhammad get his knowledge? He's telling you he got it from Allah. Look, check this out. No beans did he advise except a very small navy bean. Me and my brother was talking on the phone the other day and we was tripping out that. The beans. He says he flatly forbids us to eat cornbread. See, I'm pointing this out because a lot of people with so-called knowledge itself, collard greens and cornbread, we eat it together. Watch this. He says never eat fresh, hot corn muffins or hot cakes and syrup. No pancakes and syrup. When you eat half-cooked bread, it shortens your life. As our bread will rise again in our stomachs, buckling our stomachs and our intestinal walls. That's his thing on bread. And somewhere in here, he also talks about you're not supposed to eat fresh bread. Yeah, he says, remember, cook your bread thoroughly. Make thin rolls so that you can cook them well done. The rolls should be sliced, and those slices of bread should be toasted through and through before they're eaten. There is no such thing as being too stale. Actually, stale bread is better on your stomach and your digestive system. Positively eat no nuts. So, you're not supposed to be eating fresh bread and no nuts. I'm just saying what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad says. Also one other major thing that he points out very often in his book was eat only one meal a day. See, how to eat to live and what you're not supposed to eat. He also, was kicking to eat one time a day. Once again on the swine, keep any hog or swine out of your foods. Do not eat fried or hard-baked foods if you can avoid them. When it comes to meats, no fried chicken or steaks, nothing fried. Fried foods are hard on your digestive system and will cut your life short. He said that a lot too about, cutting your life short. Watch this, he repeats this also too. That's why I said a lot of people haven't read this. Eat a single meal a day. No matter what anyone says, if your doctor says that you should eat more than one meal a day, ignore him with a smile and eat only once a day. If he tells you to eat that he eats 3 meals a day, tell him that the length of his life is about the same as all his patients. Then tell the doctor to try eating 1 meal a day. He goes back in on the bread. The Christian civilization has taught the so-called Negro slaves to eat freshly baked bread, white biscuits, or white rolls just out of the oven. And it scorns old bread, which is better for the stomach than freshly baked breads. So he was going in. He was going in on the bread situation. He goes in on the swine. He stay on the swine. He says, it is difficult to understand why Christians eat such divinely prohibited flesh while having the Bible and the law given to Moses against the swine flesh. Other prophets, down to Muhammad, preach against eating the swine. Christians are among the largest consumers of pork in America, and they deliver this rat throughout the world to other people. He says, no wonder Isaiah says that they stand behind one tree in the garden, eating swine flesh, the abomination, the mouse, and the broth of the swine in their vessels. And yet they will tell all Muslims and Orthodox Jews that they are holier than we who don't dare touch the swine's carcass. But let me creep on through this book some more. Like I said, do the knowledge to it and put some fat on your head. I repeat, the main thing in how to eat to live is only eat once a day or once every other day. This will take care of everything. He was talking about health. He was talking about fasting. He just, he was going in, and this is basically, like I said, about your diet and, how to eat to live. He was basically talking about the Christians and the dietary law in Leviticus, going do the knowledge on that. He was talking about, extended life. Now, some of this stuff, he desires to extend our lives from a short span, averaging 62 years, to a span of 1,000 years, or for as long as we desire to live. He said there is no set time for us to die. We kill ourselves daily by means of what we think and what we eat and what we drink. That sounds far-fetched, but hey, man, it is what it is. All praises due. He got a section on Orthodox Jewish food. A Muslim, according to the Holy Quran, should not fear to eat food that the Jews eat, and the Jews do not fear eating a Muslim's food because they both eat the same type of foods. Orthodox Muslims are very careful of what they eat. The only food we shun that they love are nuts. The Muslims are warned against eating nuts of any kind, and they are warned against drinking the blood of the animals and fire because the blood is the fluid of life. You'll have to go and do the knowledge to that, but that's interesting, because he pointed out the Orthodox Muslims. But yeah, how to eat to live, man. Go and do the knowledge to it. You know, go and put some fat on your head. This is very, very entertaining. You know, I got highlighted places all through the book. You know, just pulled out what I thought were the jewels and gems that pertain to my life in this day. You know, I still read it from a mind of, you know, like I was telling my brother, I was reading it from a mind of this is the first time that I read it type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And I looked at it from that angle. But this is a certified classic. When you go into somebody's house and you see this one on the bookshelf, you know, he's very, very tapped in. You know, I also want to say once again that this book, it teaches you a lot of discipline. You know, it teaches you, he talks about not eating just one meal a day, but go for eating one meal every 2 days, one meal every 3 days, and so forth and so on. And he talks about his experience when he took on that endeavor, you know. So this is a very, very good book, and you know, we like to uphold, you know, a lot of the powerful people, you know, that had an impact on our lives as young so-called black men. And you know, this was one of them. You know, I got a lot of books and literature from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you know, I'm gonna put out some book reviews on that. I would like to thank everybody who gives me good feedback on my book reviews, you know, and just go and do the knowledge to it. A lot of the books that I'm doing on my book reviews is books that, you know, a lot of the young brothers, when they asked me what I was reading when I came up and when I got knowledge of self, this is definitely one of them. You know, go do the knowledge to them. You know, all praises to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, How to Eat to Live. This is the bearded Heru. Yo, go check them other videos out. There's some cold pieces. Come on and like and subscribe so you can vibe what you got. It's the bearded Heru, and everything is real. Peace.
Big dog in the yard, voted most likely to murder.